In this video, we're going to discuss the 4 general categories of serial killer motives. In the book Serial Murder, authors Ronald M. and Stephen T. Holmes discuss 2 categories of serial killers: process-focused, those who kill slowly, often through torture, and act-focused, those who are only concerned with the murderous act itself. The Holmes typology then breaks down these 2 categories into 4, 2 process-focused and 2 act-focused. That separates serial killers according to their motivations. Let's take a look first of all at process-focused serial killers. Hedonistic serial killers murder for the fun or the thrill of it. Their victims are often random strangers, and death is usually swift and often non-sexual in nature. Carl Watts was a classic hedonistic killer who reportedly took great pleasure in his acts, which included the murders of between 13 and 100 women. Still in the hedonistic category, serial killers who gain sexual pleasure from torturing their victims, sometimes to the point of disfiguring them, are lust killers. Russia's Elena Lebochova, who killed 14 homeless people on Moscow streets, told authorities that randomly stabbing the body of a dying human brought pleasure. She compared that to sexual pleasure. Elena kept photos of her victims' mutilated bodies. Also classified as hedonistic killers are gain killers. Power-oriented serial killers are planners who tend to be psychopaths, though not psychotic. They ultimately seek control and domination, so rape is common among their crimes as it is an expression of power over the victim. So-called angels of death, such as caretakers who kill patients in nursing homes, are considered power-oriented because they strive for control over the life and death of another. Ted Bundy was largely motivated by power, though he also had lust killer tendencies. He fits squarely with one of the most common characteristics of power-oriented killers, that they tend to wear a mask of sanity, a term coined by psychiatrist Herbie Cleckley in 1941. They present an outward appearance of being mild-mannered, charming, charismatic, and generally upstanding citizens. Next, we're going to take a look at the 2 act-focused serial killers. Mission-oriented serial killers target specific groups, commonly prostitutes, Jews, blacks, the homeless, or homosexuals. These killers believe that certain groups are undesirable and undeserving of life. Lebochova, mentioned above as a hedonistic lust killer, overlaps into this category as well. Between 1977 and 1980, white supremacist and former Ku Klux Klan member Joseph Paul Franklin aimed his sniper's rifle at blacks across the country, killing more than 15 people and wounding several others. Franklin's mission was to eliminate race mixing, which he believed to be a sin against God and nature. Visionary serial killers are usually psychotic, killing because of visions and/or voices that they have instructed them to do so. At the trial of Herbert Mullin, diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, his defense attorney told jurors in his opening statement that Mullin was stark raving mad and that he heard voices directing him to kill people as human sacrifices to prevent earthquakes. Let's also take a quick look at Carl Coral Watts. He is the Sunday morning slasher, terrorized women in Texas, Michigan, and even Ontario, Canada, from the mid-70s until his arrest in '82. In all, he killed between 22 and 100 women and injured another 40 or so. Watts kidnapped victims from their homes and tortured them in various ways before murdering them. He proved difficult for authorities to nail down because he moved across jurisdictions, changed his methods of killing, bludgeoning, drowning, strangling, stabbing, and usually didn't sexually assault his victims. That made even trace DNA difficult to gather at a time when forensic testing was still in its infancy. Carl Watts is a hedonistic killer. Another hedonistic killer, Elena Lebochova, was a member of a ruthless gang of 5 butchers who murdered 14 people as a part of a twisted plan to clean up Moscow. After her arrest, she told police that randomly stabbing the body of a dying human brought her sexual pleasure. The court was told she loved killing, and she confessed to involvement in half the gang's murders. When her flat was searched, police found 5 knives and a step-by-step guide to killing people on her computer. She also had photos of all of her victims with their stomachs cut open and body parts cut off. Folders titled Tenderness and Need This contain hundreds of pictures and videos recordings of the torture and executions. A prime example of a power-oriented killer is Ted Bundy. He is one of the most notorious criminals of the late 20th century, known to have killed at least 36 women in the 1970s. He was a serial murderer, rapist, and necrophiliac. He was executed in Florida's electric chair in 1989. His case has since inspired many novels and films about serial killers. A good example of the mission-oriented killer is Joseph Paul Franklin. He went on a horrific killing spree beginning in 1977 at the age of 27. Before his reign of murder ended in 1980, he took the lives of at least 15 men, women, and children in some 11 states. He also admitted shooting civil rights leader Vernon Jordan and paralyzing pornography publisher Larry Flynt. A great example of the visionary serial killer is Herbert Mullin. He killed 13 people in California in the early 1970s. He confessed to the killings, which he claimed prevented earthquakes. In 1973, after a trial to determine whether he was insane or culpable, he was convicted of 2 murders in the first degree and 9 in the second, and sentenced to life in prison. As of 2021, he has been denied parole 11 times and is unlikely to ever be released. Thanks for joining us for Serial Killer Motives. If you like the content, please remember to hit the like and subscribe, and join us on Facebook for more stories like this at True Crime and Psychology with Thelma and Louise.